This video is sponsored by Skillshare, the accessible online learning community where you can learn just about any skill you want. Skillshare is bursting with comprehensive, carefully curated classes. Now listen, I myself had some doubts. I thought, what can Skillshare offer me that a YouTube tutorial can't? Well, for starters, it's reputable. As I said earlier, getting a much more carefully curated experience out of Skillshare. But one example of something I definitely couldn't find on YouTube is this 15-hour class on marketing and SEO, which is vital to YouTubers like myself. Thank you, Creative Roman. Once I'm done with this class right here, I can guarantee you'll be seeing a lot more of me in the algorithm. I was interested in giving Skillshare a shot at the end of the day, because it's a highly reputable brand, and I'm someone that's graduated university now, and yes, I've got some knowledge, but I want to get some more skills under my belt to really give me that competitive edge in the career field, and also to finally excel at my own enterprises. And also just Skillshare, the knowledge you can achieve on there is invaluable. How you can apply that can completely enrich and even transform your life. And the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. You're probably being bombarded with sales advertisement around the new year and the late holiday season, and sure, you could buy more stuff, more clutter, more tat, but this is about you, leveling up you, your passions, curiosities, your creative spirit and growth, about doing something for yourself all year long. With Skillshare, you could make 2023 the year you finally perfect a new creative hobby, or land a new career, or launch your own business. So go ahead, try out a risk-free 30-day trial and test it out for yourself. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Let's go forward. Hey everybody, Channel Pup here, and today we're going to be counting through 15 Sonic Frontiers mods which I absolutely recommend. Now, as it stands in its original release format, Sonic Frontiers is easily one of my favorite Sonic games, top 3. I haven't decided where in that top 3 it sits. It could be number 1, it could be number 3, I don't know. My criticisms of the game still stand, but ultimately my enjoyment of this thing is just way too much for me to really care that much anymore. Now, I remember when I got Sonic Forces and Sonic Generations on Steam and was playing through the mods, I was like, when it comes to a Sonic game, the PC version is the one to get, because the modding community is so talented and so creative. So when Sonic Frontiers rolled around, I bought it on the Switch and the PlayStation 5. Okay, look, I wanted a new game for my shiny new PlayStation 5 console. Can you blame me? And the idea of playing a Sonic game on a DualSense controller with all that haptic feedback and such, which never actually came to be, so oopsie doopsie poopsie. Then on the Nintendo Switch, because I wanted to have the game on the go, it was especially important given that I was traveling to Atlanta, Georgia at the time. But then I caught a glimpse of Giganto dancing the Gangnam Style, and it just became clear to me that I needed to yield and buy the PC version, which it turns out runs perfectly on my gaming laptop, so yeah, maybe this is the one I should have gotten from the start. Still, no regrets. Life ain't about regrets. Anyways, so, for a mod to qualify on this list, there's not really any criteria here. I played through a good few Sonic Frontiers mods, and these were the 15 I decided to include in this video for now. So inevitably there will be some really good mods out there that aren't on this list. There'll be some really high effort mods out there that won't be on this list. Chances are this won't be the last you'll be hearing from me about Sonic Frontiers mods, so there'll be time enough. If you're a modder and your mod isn't on this list, don't be bummed out, that's just how it is.
Now hold your horses there, sir. If you like videos about Spider-Man and Sonic the Hedgehog and other pop culture foibles, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button to help get more content like this in the algorithm. That YouTube algorithm is a merciless mistress, and if you want to help to support the production of these videos, be sure to check out the Patreon patron link in the description below, and consider making a monthly pledge. Enjoy the rest of the video, partner.
Alright, well, with that being said, let's go through this. In 15th place is Car Crash by TVIYH. And you'll see why. In 14th place is Thornic by Gong. I love that we're in a day and age where we can choose different outfits for Sonic officially. Chances are, though, we're never going to get a Marvel collaboration, although that would be amazing. This mod at least gives us a little taster of what that could look like, as Sonic now runs around in a little Thor outfit with a Mjolnir. Now that's great, that's really, really great, but not always do the cosmetics pass over to the supersonic boss fights. Yet here, they do. Gong really put the work in here. Supersonic wielding Mjolnir, that just feels so right. Coming in at number 13, we have Pinball Settings by Sora. The pinball game just before the night boss fight feels like one of the most egregious pieces of progression gating I've ever seen. It stops the pacing of the entire experience dead and just goes on for way too long, and it's tremendously unforgiving. But thanks to this mod, I can now edit the criteria needed to pass the pinball. Having to score 6 million points with just 2 balls. You could get through it as a skillful player, but this is one intrusive minigame. I personally opted to bring the criteria down to 1 million points and offer 5 balls, meaning that you still get some playtime out of it, but it feels more like a minigame rather than just, hey, we slapped this really long, egregious pinball game right in the middle of your mission. The Pinball Settings mod deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, as it is the ultimate act of mercy. Coming in at number 12, we have Unused Cyberspace Objective by JDWMGB. This mod restores just one unused cyberspace objective, does what it says on the tin, and that objective is to clear a cyberspace stage without taking any damage, which actually seems like a no-brainer for a challenge. That's actually really smart. And you get an extra key for it as well. This is just a smart mod, you know, it's nothing too impressive, but like, it feels like, yeah, why wasn't that in there? While yes, it does give you an additional key, an additional chance to get a key, and you could say that makes the game easier, at the same time, it's more criteria you have to fulfill to get those 3 extra bonus keys, so in some ways it balances out. Coming in at number 11 is Oranos Prime by Pella Pella Duga. I bet the people with these usernames are just laughing at me right now for how I'm pronouncing these things. And you know what, all power to you, I'd be laughing too. This is another pretty small tweak. I remember my first time visiting Oranos Island. Yeah, I was disappointed that the final island was another grass-themed island, but the music just oozed finality. And then it just gets changed to the music of Kronos Island halfway through, which just feels like an anticlimax. Well, with this mod, it maintains its original theme through the entire duration, so that sense of finality is spent throughout your entire Oranos campaign, meaning that Oranos Island no longer feels quite such an anticlimax. But also this theme is just damn good as well. Coming in at number 10, we have Fall Foliage on Oranos Island by Pupsy. That's a pretty cool name you got there. So as I said before, yeah, it's a bit of an anticlimax that the final island happened to be another grass-themed island, looking pretty much the same as Kronos and Rhea Island. With this Fall Foliage mod though, it can at least make it look a little more visually distinct. But you know what, there's actually something oddly profound to all this. Sonic Frontiers is a pretty somber game that's all about death and moving on, and I think that is pretty well reflected in the environments of this game. They feel like places where history occurred, they feel like battlefields. You can see like old homes and graves and everything's overgrown, even down to the fact that there are fields laid with poppies, which is very much the flower of remembrance. So surely it makes sense for, as you progress through the game, for the grassy environments to become more autumnal. The idea that all of the leaves on the trees are browning, crackling, and dying, that surely fits in really well with the theme of the game. This was a really smart idea to give Oranos Island its own personality. This combined with the Oranos Prime mod, yeah, that really saves Oranos Island. Coming in at number 9 is Gangnam Style Giganto by Gong. There's nothing I can really say here that's gonna sell this mod better than just showing it, to be honest. This shouldn't be funny, it's really funny. It's also just really funny how unwieldy it makes the initial climbing period of the boss as well. Perfectly possible though. Coming in at number 8 is Klonoa Frontiers by Canola. What's impressive about this is it's not just a model swap between Sonic and Klonoa. They've gone so far as to do things like swap Amy's character model out with Lolo's, add Klonoa's grunts over Sonic's, replace the rings with Dreamstones, even going as far as to replace the Sonic Frontiers logo with a new Klonoa Frontiers logo on the menu screen. Klonoa's auras are also in green, representing that little green gem that he has in his ring. There's just a really thoughtfully put together mod here. Sure, when you play through some cutscenes, yeah, it begins to become apparent that this is indeed a Sonic game, but if you just doink around in the open zones, you can fool yourself into thinking that this is a 3D Klonoa revival. Also, replacing the Coco with Moos. Just, yes, good move. Coming in at number 7 is Supersonic by Kewels. So given that Supersonic was just exclusively for the major boss fights in this one, it does make sense that you didn't have an unlockable Supersonic for the open zone. But what if we did? Here's what that might look like. This Supersonic boasts a very fast boost and a very fast drop dash. Not only that though, his air dash allows him to effectively ascend, which is a fantastic playstyle for Supersonic to have in an open environment. But one other little thing, a little side effect here if you will, that makes this mod fun. Going to Rhea Island, climbing to the top of one of the towers, flying off of it, and going over the boundaries to Kronos Island. There's something very cool about interacting with environments that you're not supposed to interact with. And here we are in an empty version of Kronos Island, and you can see the towers from it. How very cool. Also, playing a Supersonic in Chaos Island is just really beautiful, to be honest. Like, this must be what planes see, right? Coming in at number 6 is the Uwu Overhaul by M&M. This mod translates every single piece of on-screen text. Well, what do I call this? Uwu speak, anime girl speak, if you like. I don't know. I'm not sure how they did this, because to rewrite every single word in this game into Uwu speech would be such a chore. I don't know if maybe they have some kind of, I don't know, algorithmic thing set up that replaces every L with a W or something like that. But as it is, it just adds this layer of comedy to the game. And it is so thorough. There's probably some jackass out there who doesn't view this as comedy, but just views it as purely endearing. No, this is funny. This is really funny in my opinion. And the fact that someone thought to do this as well is just even funnier. Coming in at number 5 is Boss Select by Acrolo and Junior0428. So in my opinion, the boss fights are the best part of Sonic Frontiers. And the fact you can't replay them is totally bogus, bro. It's been hinted in a future DLC we might be able to, but like for now we got nothing. Nothing except for this mod by these two heroes. So this effectively works as a save state in a way. The 4 save slots are taken up by the different boss battles, but they're also labeled as such as well, so it no longer says things like slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, it says like which bosses you get to fight, and it has a picture of that boss fight in there. It's a really nicely presented interface, which means I can smack the crap out of these bosses that dwarf me in size, all to my little heart's content. And better yet, they even went to the effort of disabling autosave for you so you won't forget and overwrite those boss saves. Thank you, you've done us and this game a service. Coming in at number 3, we have Open Zone Physics in Cyberspace by Rocket Jimmer. One of the most baffling things about Sonic Frontiers to me was how well Sonic controls in the open zone with really nice tight turning, only for the cyberspace stages undoing all of that progress with a completely separate playstyle that turns Sonic into a heavy goods vehicle. This mod corrects that, and it makes the decision even more baffling because this works so well. You can now make those tight turns in cyberspace without looking like an idiot. No drift needed. I think this really kind of cements this as the best of the Boost Sonic gameplay styles. These stages are now an absolute dream to play through. Rocket Jimmer, your work has given cyberspace a new lease on life. Great work. Coming in at number 2 is the Tracker Physics Tweaks by Tracker TD. Now, I have tried tried a fair few Sonic Frontiers physics tweaks mods. And generally I found myself just going back to the regular gameplay because while those physics tweaks could allow me to pull off some really cool tricks and such, they didn't make playing the game work very well. Made things either too exploitable or too unintuitive in places. I think Sonic Frontiers did a really nice job at giving us a more controlled Sonic with a more controlled sense of speed. However, Tracker's physics tweaks proved to be an exception from that rule. So the way this works is that Sonic's reactivity to slopes has been heightened a little bit to better simulate the momentum of the classic Sonic games. Now, yes, there was some degree of momentum to Sonic Frontiers, but it wasn't quite as heightened as it is here. Another thing I really love about this is without boosting, Sonic can still get a good degree of speed. And when you let go of the boost button, you still maintain some of that speed. You no longer lose all of your momentum in your jumps, and the drop dash carries you a lot further. The light speed dash no longer kills your momentum, and the rebound time on the homing attack has been drastically slashed. And the best part is that these changes make their way into cyberspace as well. In the vanilla version of the game, if you go through cyberspace without boosting, you're not even playing a Sonic game because you're not going fast. Here though, well, yeah, it pays to boost. You don't have to do it all the time. Sonic will carry that momentum. I was able to beat the notorious Cyberspace 1-2 with an S rank, and I didn't even boost for the first part of this stage. And one more very important feature which transforms the boss fights is now the parry is timed. You get a few second window to parry, so you've gotta be careful with it. This is a mod that genuinely makes the game better. And I think Sega would be really smart if they looked at this and implemented some of these changes into official games going forward. For now, we have Tracker's physics tweaks, which is just fantastic. And coming in at number 1, we have buffed Titan fights by Was-If Booms. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Titan fights are the best part of this game. The pure power fantasy, good stuff. But even on hard mode, they're over pretty quick. Sometimes I just want a little more time between cinematics and QTEs to just bop these guys. And Buff Titans delivers on that. For starters, all of the bosses here have increased health, which just completely addresses that problem immediately. That's all I need. But that's not all. The attack patterns on these bosses are far more aggressive, making all of these bosses significantly more challenging. The creator of this mod recommends using any mod that turns down the parry time, which I did. I used this with Tracker's physics mod, and hell yeah. Having a much more timed parry, the Wyvern boss fight is way harder now. Took me like a good 10 minutes. I really had to pay close attention to the attack patterns. Perhaps the standout here though is Supreme. This previously underwhelming boss fight has been completely revitalized, with far more aggressive bullet attacks, which become literal bullet hells. Now, there are a few small drawbacks to this mod, like with any mod. One being that the massive gun that Supreme rocks is no longer really a part of this. That QTE has been removed, so it kind of just makes the cutscene before a little redundant where he's just rocking that massive gun. Yeah, not quite. But also the end boss fight has been severely nerfed. I think the goal here was to make it so that the Supreme boss is like the main one and that the end is more just a little footnote. And it achieves that. It's just kind of sad to see it telegraphing all of its attacks, which it never goes through with because I'm whittling away this health too quick.
Stars, countless more. All material chaos and nothing. I saw your light. They were finite.
Fortunately though, this is one of the mods that comes with a configuration tool, so you can select which boss fights get tweaked and which do not, so I personally leave the end as is. The rest though, buffed all the way. Now, before we polish this list off, I do want to give a few quick honorable mentions, and the reason these are honorable mentions is because they're not technically mods, they're listed as codes in the Hedge mod manager. I'm no tech whiz, I don't know how that works, but I quickly want to talk about two here. The first one is Disable Guardian Introductions by Hyper. Honestly, I really enjoyed the Guardian introductions the first time they occur, but it gets really tiring when I'm just running along and So the option to toggle these on and off is very welcome. Now I can just run up to these guys at my leisure and just wail on them without having to sit through their little introduction. The second code I wanted to talk about is Hide the Boost Gauge, once again by Hyper. Sonic's iconic boost gauge has gone through several design iterations over the years. It gets literally a new design every single game. And the one in Sonic Frontiers is by far my least favorite. No, it's not as dated and silly looking as the Sonic Unleashed one is. This wouldn't actually be a terrible design if it weren't in the middle of the goddamn screen. This is definitely the most intrusive version, and I know what they're trying to do. It's the stamina meter from Breath of the Wild. Good job. But it looks way more like Sonic is being followed everywhere by a buffering wheel. So just switching it off, just getting rid of it entirely. Let me guess when I'm gonna run out of boost. Yeah. So those, right now, are my top 15 mods for Sonic Frontiers. Little hodgepodge of mods that can improve the game, can just completely make it into a wacky, zany experience. You know how it is. What do you guys think? Why don't you post some of your favorite mods in the comments below? I'll be putting links to all of these mods in the description as well as a tutorial by a great content creator and super nice guy, Garrulous64, on how you can install these mods yourself. Alright, does that sound good? Okay. I hope you've all had a really great Chrism, guys, and yeah, catch you in the next video. I say, you've made it to the end of the video! Congrats. No, but seriously, thanks a bunch for watching. And just now, I'll be extending a special thanks to the patrons in the $10 tier, who are Adam Myers, Ken K, Legendary Ray Ray, Mr. SP, Sergio, That Jordo, and Where's Arnold? What an amazing and generous bunch of people. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want to join the ranks of these amazing people right here, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Guys, these are not the easiest times in the world financially, so every little bit you folks are donating is doing wonders. I really would love to be able to do YouTube as a proper fully fledged career someday. It might just be a pipe dream, but maybe you guys can prove some people wrong. But of course, if donations aren't your thing, then, well, it means plenty to me that you just hit that cute little subscribe button over there. I didn't mean hit that way. Well, that's me done for the day. Thanks a whole bunch for your support, and have a fantastic day. I'm gonna see you so soon.
Look!